What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Hatchett. I'm here to talk about a subject that not a lot of people want to talk about, but it needs to be discussed. And that subject is the state of AAU basketball in Connecticut. Now, the overall condition of AAU basketball in Connecticut is poor. And I say that because there are too many AAU programs in tiny Connecticut. Now, the reason why there are so many AAU programs is because it is a moneymaker for the team administrators and the coaches who are at these mom and pop AAU programs. The reason why people start these programs is to get kids who really are only just there to pay the fee, which subsidizes the costs, and it really helps these coaches and these administrators to get additional income. That's really what it's about. Now, currently, and I'm saying currently, there are only two AAU programs in Connecticut that are good. That is Connecticut Select and Connecticut Basketball Club. Now, I say that, and I know that probably offends a bunch of people, but just like with the NBA or the NFL, say for example, I'm a 49ers fan. The 49ers haven't been good for about 15 years, but at one point, they were the cream of the crop in the NFL. So I can't be upset if someone says that the Colts or the Steelers or the Patriots are the best teams in the NFL. The 49ers have fallen off, and until they get back to that certain level, people are going to continue to disrespect them. It is what it is. This is the same thing with AAU basketball. There are a lot of programs who were very strong a few years ago or a decade ago that are no longer holding weight. Now, Connecticut Select has stood the test of time, and they are still very, very strong. And Connecticut Basketball Club is sort of like the new kids on the block. They have taken over AAU basketball in Connecticut for the most part. Now, most kids don't understand that both of these programs are elite level programs. Now, what that means is it is not for the average basketball player. People look at that and feel like, coaches or administrators are being disrespectful when, they say that certain kids just can't hack it at that level. There is a need for the middle of the road B-level AAU program. There's a need for that because not every kid is cut out to play Division I basketball. However, the kids who are cut out to play Division I basketball need to play together because steel can only sharpen steel, which means that you can't get better beating up on Tommy and Johnny and the kids from your neighborhood that you've been running circles around. You're not going to get better playing against those kids or even playing with those kids because they're just going to give you the ball every time and you're going to just shoot 30 shots a game and you're not getting better doing that. The only way to improve as a basketball player is to play against other top level kids. Now, any coach of an AAU program that is a middle of the road B level or C level program, if the coach is not telling you, and you're an exceptional player, if the coach is not telling you that you have outgrown their program and that you need to go play for Connecticut Select or CBC, the coach is doing the child a disservice. There's no reason for a Division I prospect to be being clinched onto by an AAU program that cannot compete with the other elite programs. Because what happens is, when you go to nationals, you play against a team like from the West Coast, you're going to have players on that one team who live 2 and 3 hours away from each other. But because this one guy was the best kid in San Diego, this other guy was the best kid in Oregon, they got those kids to play together for the sake of competing against the New Yorks and the Texas and the New Jerseys and whoever, competing against the best of the best all over the country. Now in Connecticut, in tiny Connecticut, we have players who are really good, who live less than 30 minutes away from each other, who do not play with each other because you have so many coaches convincing them not to go play for the top level team because they don't want to lose the player, not because they care about the player. Now, I say this, people can say, well, Reg, it's easy for you to say that because you coach CBC. However, if there was a program that was more elite than CBC, and I felt a kid that I had could benefit from playing with a higher level program, I would 100%, no second guess myself, tell that kid and that kid's parents, your son needs to go play for blank. And I also would make sure that the coaches on that team were treating my guy correctly. I would go make sure and hold them accountable because I believe it's about the kid advancing. A lot of coaches are about their programs advancing or about their record being good, but not about the kid getting better. That is why AAU is doing so poorly. It's because you have guys who are speaking for some of these young boys. You know, they buy them McDonald's and buy them sneakers and keep them in the car with them all the time. And the young boys trust them. And when the coach when the advisor tells them, nah, I don't like that dude, don't go play there, you're hurting the child by not allowing them to compete on the highest level possible. I always use this example. If you have a kid who is naturally gifted and can like listen to music and then go play what they hear on the piano, if you take that kid for music lessons, they are not going to put that kid in the same class with the other kids who are playing the piano with one finger and playing Mary Had a Little Lamb. They're not going to do that because that kid is more advanced than Mary Had a Little Lamb. However, they also are not going to put that same kid who can listen to music and kind of fumble his way through it, they're not going to put him in the same room or the same class with other kids who can play symphonies, who's playing Mozart, because he's not there yet either. However, if you're the type of kid who can play Mozart, then you need to be in the classroom with other kids who can play Mozart. It's just that simple. The same thing is true with basketball. The same thing is true with football. The same thing is true in academics. Schools do it all the time. That's why you have honors level courses, you have academic level courses, you have general level courses, because schools are not going to benefit from having a kid who is still adding on his fingers and his toes in the same classroom with the kid who's doing calculus. It makes no sense. You have to separate kids by their ability. Basketball is no different. So if you are an elite level kid who plays for a non-elite level AAU program, you need to have the conversation with your coach. When am I going to be put on that level? How come I'm not on that level yet? What do I need to do to get there? And are you going to let me go play when I do get to that level? Because it makes no sense for the coaches to try and hold on to these players when all you're doing is hurting the child. People may not want to hear that, but it's the honest to God truth. And there's a flip side. Let me bring up the flip side too, and then I'm going to finish up. The flip side is not every kid is good enough to play at the elite level AAU programs. That's not to say they won't get there, because this is a big secret about, a lot of you guys who are getting older understand this. The kid who was the best kid in the 6th grade is probably still not the best kid by the time they get to the 10th grade. Some kids advance faster. Some kids are late bloomers. Some kids grow 6-7 inches between their freshman and sophomore year. So you never know how that's going to end up. So I'm not trying to say that a kid can't become elite, but a kid who is not elite has no business on the court with all elite level players, because it's not fair to the other elite level players to have to pick up the slack for that kid who can't compete on that level. And it's also not fair to the kid who struggles to put them out there with all elite level players, because the game will be too fast for them. They're going to lose confidence. They're probably going to end up quitting the sport because they realize that they're in over their head. So there is a need for the B-level program. That should be available for kids who need that, but not every kid does need that. And some of you coaches need to stop hurting these kids and do what's right. Straight up and down. This Reg Hatchett, if you don't like it, So what? It is what it is.